Hey, what's going on? Welcome to another edition of Hustlers Kung Fu, where we teach you how to make money without a job. Today, we're going to get into some really deep. You don't want to start a business? Buy one. I'm going to give you a recent example of something I went through with one of my clients. Now, there's two things going on real quick. If you want to be part of uncivilized profits, that's how Donald Trump won the office of the highest office in the land. I'll give you the full template on how he did that so you can use it too to influence people to buy stuff that you want. Or if you want to do what I did for this client, I'll discuss that later. Be sure to stay tuned to the end. All right, let's get into it. One of the biggest problems that people have is they don't know what kind of business they want to start. They want to make money. They're not really tuned in to their thing, right? Well, I'm gonna tell you a few secrets here. All right, I'm gonna walk you through what I did with my client. Booked up some consults. We started working on the business plan. And then I'd start to discover this person did not know what the hell they wanted to do. And this happens. This is a lot of people. You might be one of those folks. So I said, you know what? What's your main goal here? I just want more money for my family. That was pretty much the strongest, the clearest signal, right? So I said, okay, so you want more money. You don't really care how it's done. No. Okay. What I want you to do is to go through your town and I want you to identify businesses that you could potentially like to own and then start talking to the owners. And the first thing is you got to find out actually who is the owner, which could be tricky, especially if they're out of state. So we go through this for a few weeks. Then he isolates 15 businesses. And I was like, okay. And then this is where I actually get on the phone because I know the questions to ask. I know, because the thing is, when you buy a business, you got to know so many things. You got to know about the legal structure. You got to know if the person who's trying to sell you the business actually owns the business. Sometimes people have silent partners that they don't tell you about, that invested money, but are not on the LLC, but have legal and tangible interest in the business that come before whatever you want. So we go through this whole process and we find the businesses. I talk to them, I ask them the questions, because once we isolated, it was down to 3 businesses. Then we drew up a marketing plan. Because see, this is where most businesses fail. They don't know how to market. And we got this one business, owner financing, i.e. no money down, but there was a premium for that no money down deal. And this is how we structured it. I said, okay, make this guy a premium, because see, you see the stuff in the movies where people go like, I could sell ice to Eskimos. And all right, someone's got a business, they're making money and they're going to sell it to you for a delayed payoff. There needs to be a premium. So we looked at what the person was making and we said, we'll give you 25% premium. And the guy told me his eyes got big. He's like, hell yeah, I'll take that deal. Sign the papers, right? But what he didn't know is we had a plan. We had a plan to double revenues. So you buy this business, and I can't tell you how much it was for because I had to sign an NDA. I can't really put all this out this, but I'm gonna say it was under $1 million. It was under $1 million. So we buy this business, and there are monthly payments, and there's a 90-day window before the first payment is due. All of this is in a written contract. There's attorneys involved. He had his attorney. My guy had his attorney, and all this stuff was spelled out, like who does what, who's responsible for taxes. Because when you're buying the business in a certain year, there are taxes, that have to be owed. So if my guy was going to pay those taxes, that was going to come off of the purchase price, because, once you take over that business, you assume all liabilities. You have to go in, you have to talk to the banks, you have to change the officers on the LLC. You have to go into the banks, talk to the banks, and they put him through the ringer. They put him on that account. They put him through the ringer. So he got that account. Then I actually had him open up some more accounts, because you never know, because that bank seemed to be a little hinky. So we go through all of this stuff. He goes in and hits it first day. And this typically, when you buy businesses, a lot of people like to have the owner stay on for a while. We didn't want that, because I knew this business model very well. And I said, you don't need him. You don't need him. You might just have his number to answer some questions on some things that potentially that we did not talk about. So we get in there first week. I have my dude go through so many things, and the business was doing, 6 figures a month. And that's gross. That wasn't profit. That's one of the reasons that we were able to get this sucker so cheap, because the owner was older. He was struggling, and he was just tired and he was worn out. So we go in, we keep all the employees, because they were freaking out. And I was just like, hey, sit down, talk to people. We shuffled people around. There were some people who were not really doing what they needed to do, and we gave them a chance. They cleaned up their act. Nobody got fired. And all of a sudden, this company started to perform. And the people who had been there was a shock at all the business that was coming in. Only thing that we didn't change the name. There was no need. We didn't do anything except we put in place a marketing plan that was not there. That was it. We found a business that was crippled due to ignorance of how marketing works. That's what we found. So 90 days, first payment, dude comes in to get his check. He's smiling. All of the employees are like telling him, it's like, wow, business has never been better. It's just like, and dude was just like, what's going on? So one of the employees was like, yeah, we doubled sales from last month. And the guy was like, what the hell? That's why you have attorneys, and that's why you have signed contracts, right? So guy comes in, and I have my guy. The deal is, you want to pay this guy off quick as possible. You can make these monthly payments, or you can get him out your hair. So the first payment was 48% of the total purchase price. And the guy said, well, I'm a little bit ahead, so I'm just going to go ahead and accelerate the payment plan. There was no interest or anything. I mean, he was, regardless if it was paid soon or later, he was going to still get the same amount, so he wasn't getting hurt. And the dude took the check, and he kind of grinned, and then he kind of started sniffing around and coming back around, and found out that eventually in a year, this took a year, we had tripled revenues. So that purchase price, because see, this is one of the things with business. Many people look at what I call the scarcity mindset. Say the business is doing 2.5 million a year. You're going to go in and buy it. Depending upon certain criteria, either you're going to pay 1 point something, or you may pay the 2.5, just depending on a few determining factors, right? So we went ahead and paid what the guy wanted plus 25%. Now, we made enough money to pay him off in a year. So one of the things that happens with buying a business is you don't have to build anything. You have to improve stuff. This is what hedge funds, Blackstone, this is what Google does. This is what Apple does. They acquire companies that's already doing what they're doing. Facebook does this. Facebook acquired Instagram. Facebook acquired Snapchat. Not what app? What app or what chat? One of them. And that's one of the things. Now, how can you do this on a basic level? All right, let's just say wherever you are, there's a guy that has a car wash and doing okay, but they're not really doing well. They don't have multiple locations. What you can do, because see, this is something else when you buy a business. You buy the business name and you buy the business reputation. So that's something else you have to check. You have to find out if the business has a good reputation. Do people in the community like this business? Do they like the owner? Or is they're like, he's a motherfucker, we can't stand him? Those type of things you need to know, because what you're buying is an accelerated situation to make money much faster. This is the whole thing. So you're local, we'll take a car wash, we'll take a laundromat, we'll take a dry cleaners, we'll take a landscaping company, we'll take a painting company, we will take a car dealership, you're looking for businesses that are formed but clearly are struggling. You want them struggling. And also some things you should not be worried about. Like, say the business has loans or debts. Once again, you buy that business, that becomes yours. It becomes yours. But there's a few wrinkles where you can handle that, where that's not going to be too onerous. So you have all these businesses. First thing you want to look is, what is their presence online? Many businesses will have a website that was it's up there. It may look good, but see, once you know the right tools to use, you can find out if they're actually making money from that website. So you do that first. So if they don't have an online presence or they're not rocking online, serious upside, total opportunity. That's what we were dealing with. And the next thing that you will do is you will look at their customer base. You will look at, because you're going to have to sign papers. No one's just going to let you, quote, come in their business, start rifling around tax records, looking at, no. That's a very serious thing. So you just can't like walk in there and do that, because it's going to take a conversation. The person needs to know if you can be the person that can run the business. And also, many of these people, these businesses are their, what's the thing? Many of these businesses are their babies. It's their baby. It's their firstborn. So you've got that coming on too. And you have to look at that from a standpoint of, this is going to be very hard for them. So the deal has to be sweet. Let's see what we got rocking over here in the conversation. Please do a live Q&A portion. Let me just put this out there. If you want me to talk specifically to your business model, exactly what you're doing, then go question. That's called a consult. Links below. And like I said, I'll be talking about that toward the end. I'm going to do something special for you guys who hit these live streams. Yeah, what app rehab? I mean, essentially, people talking about, the profit. I've never watched the show. This is very different, because I'm going to do, because everybody keeps mentioning that. I've heard of it, but I've never watched the show. So I'm going to de-profit, because the thing is, this is I guess it could be the same thing. Like I said, I haven't seen it. Being the chairman and CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation, Camping World takes up a lot. Marcus Lamont's time when he's not running the company, he searches for struggling business and needed cash. He turns around and offers cash for a piece of the business and a percentage of the profit. Okay, I'm glad I read that. This ain't that. You are taking over the business. You're buying the business. You are completely taking total responsibility, ownership, and the vast sum of the profits. You are not going in to what the profit does is an investment. And we'll talk about that. Once again, let's see what we got here. I was going to sell my business a few years back. Deal wound up falling through as the buyer was suspended from PayPal and wanted to keep my name on the account even after the sale. That was a deal. You can't do that. I mean, now here's something for you folks. All right. What you do if you got a PayPal issue, you go out and you create a C corporation. Not an LLC, but a C corporation, issues shares of stock. Find yourself a proxy who can sign off on the PayPal account. So even if you're suspended, you can use anybody, or, I mean, they don't even have to have any credit. It just has to be somebody alive, or that's something I help somebody with. But if you've had your PayPal account suspended, you could create a corporate entity, and you have to have it established. You have to have a Paydex. There's some other things you have to do, and then put the PayPal account in that company name. Do you think Sears or Uber, or you think that stuff's in Travis's social? No, it's not. But you have to have a proper corporate structure to make that happen. That's just how it has to be. You got to have that. The profit guy's big on processes. This is what so many not profitable businesses need to be profitable. There's a book by the title of The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. Get that book. Go ahead and get that book, because that's the book that I used for this whole deal. That's the book. I just went through the book, put all these processes in place, just simple stuff, not earth shattering, but you got to find the right deal. Now, with Louis the seller, but wouldn't that decrease the purchase price of the amount of the previous owner owes? Okay, you're trying to get this business. Okay, first thing is you cannot improve the business unless you get the business. You have anybody that's been in resale and you went out and bought stuff from people, people become emotionally attached to so many things. And you're trying to get this business on the cheap, and this person's emotionally attached. They may be in hot water. They may owe a bunch of people, and just out of simple pride, they're not going to sell to you because you insulted them. So this is very much romancing, seducing, and making these people feel good about the sale. You just can't go in there with that whole, well, I'm going to give you 30 cents on the dollars, take it or leave it. A lot of people would go to bankrupt or, tries until they actually just fail and crumble. So the goal is to get the business. That's the number one goal. And to do your homework and know that the numbers are going to be so profitable that even if you pay a premium, which is what we did, you still made a whole bunch of money. See, I was listening to this podcast and people were talking about this, and I don't really pay attention to open rates in my emails. I don't pay attention to views per video. I'll actually tell you a video that I put up recently, not a lot of views. It made 14 grand. I pay attention to conversion. I pay attention to sales. I pay attention to people who will like pull out that credit card and buy something. All the stuff that you'll see, matter of fact, I'll show it to you. Because one of the things that happens when you have people who are managers and haven't gone through sales training, they don't look at certain things. Let's see, make sure I'm in here. Okay, you see all that right there? Every day I get a sale from this stuff. Now let's talk about this. By me having people click on these products and buy them, I'm sending traffic off of YouTube, right? Well, YouTube doesn't like me sending traffic off of YouTube. So my channel gets penalized. And I have to ask myself, what's most important? Pleasing Google or YouTube, or pleasing my wallet? There must be a fine balance there. There's got to be a fine balance. So I do enough to please Google to stay in the game, but my ultimate objective is to get paid, because that video I put up, like, matter of fact, I'll even show you, like, my AdSense is gone down. Matter of fact, let me pop out of here. Because someone asked me, was the vidIQ correct? Okay, here's my monthly revenue per vidIQ, right? So let's see, let's go into here as we whip it out. Oh, for those of you who have a YouTube channel, YouTube is scrubbing subscribers. I have a lot of people hit me up. It's like, hey, YouTube has unsubscribed me. It's not me, it's YouTube. They go through this thing every now and then where they'll just get rid of a bunch of people. I don't know why they do it, but supposedly to get rid of inactive accounts, but that is not okay. What the heck is that? Yeah, there's some new stuff here too. Okay, here we go. Let's go with this month. Okay, so I'm trending toward 900 to $1,000. If you have a job and you are doing okay, this is good money. This is just like, bam, here's 900 to $1,000. I mean, that's just nice, but it doesn't really float. It doesn't move the needle in my life. It just doesn't move the needle. So there's some things that, you have to look at. So let's see, come out there. Let me get back into the chat room. But this is something you can do. Now, what should be your first business that you should go after? I would tell you, don't limit yourself, because dude that bought this business, he actually was on the hook for quite a bit of cheddar. So, like I said, was able to pay it off in a year. Now he has the business and he's making more money than he ever made in his life. But there are certain steps that must be taken. There are certain things you have to do, or it just won't work. And it's risky. I'm not going to sit here and go like, oh, no, no, this is real easy. No, there is a certain level of risk here. And that's something that you have to, okay, let's see. It seems to be shitty quality. Maybe it will straighten up in a little while. And then maybe not, maybe not. I don't know, these things with these live streams, they're always very interesting. Let's see, let that pass by. Come on, come on. There we go. Okay. Oh, let's see. Matter of fact, I'll just stop it. Okay, it looks like it's doing a little bit better. All right, let's see. Got you. Dora Anjani. The offer should be equitable. Some people can sense when others are trying to prey on perceived weaknesses. Those who recognize that kind of predation would die of hunger out of spite. Pretty much. I mean, the whole deal is you got to give something because, you know, we had this conversation because when I said, you know, pay him a 25% premium, he thought I was out of my mind. I said, look, this business is smoking. There's things you can do. You got to get him out of there. You know, trying to beat him down to a pulp. You want him to be excited about selling the business to you. You want, you know, go in and this is something else. When you go in and checking out the business, don't insult anybody. Don't say anything about the furniture. I learned this the hard way when I was selling office furniture. I went in and I said some really derogatory about their derogatory stuff about their furniture. Little did I know the guy's dead wife bought it. I did not get that deal. It was hideous. Yeah, it was ugly, but his wife who died from cancer bought that. And that's one of the reasons it was so hard for him to sell that. And I didn't know that until after the fact because one of his assistants sent me an email. She's like, I understand you're trying to make a deal, but his ex-wife who died from cancer bought that furniture. And I was like, fuck. I sent him a nice card and some flowers and left it alone because I knew I wasn't getting that deal. I just wasn't getting that deal. No, someone else got it. How common is it for buyers to try to change terms or price before deal closes when only half of the payment is made up front? When you're doing this kind of deal making, anything can happen until papers are signed, checks are handed over, or agreements put in place. The deal can fall apart last minute. It can fall apart anytime. Anything can happen. The buyer may not have funding lined up. One of the buyer's investors may pull out. All kinds of fuckery can happen. So anything that frightens you, I mean, think about, talk to a real estate agent and ask them how many housing deals they have that don't close because of stuff like this. It's common. Hey, everybody, we're talking about how to buy business. And if you're asking me questions and comments that have nothing to do with the topic, I'm not going to answer them. Because what I'm trying to do is straighten this ship and get people who are interested in stuff. Because I have a lot of people who want to know exactly what I'm doing. It's not even part of this conversation. So if your question is ignored, that's why. Let's see what we got. First time tuning in, can you mention the book a few minutes in? It's called The Ultimate. Matter of fact, you know, we're on YouTube. Hold on a second. I'll show it to you because I will have 18 people email me versus actually rewinding the video, which kind of cracks me up. An old book, but it's a great book, and it's made me a lot of money. So let's go in here, and we'll leave this on the screen. Let's see. Go here. Come out of that. Come on, hey, come on out of there. All right. Here's the book, The Ultimate Sales Machine, written in 2008. Let's get back here. Let's see what we got in the comments. Okay, hold on a second. All right, just leave that there. Now, one of the things about buying a business is, was my advice to my client, to pick a business he knew something about, to pick a business in his neck of the woods, pick a business that he felt comfortable. Because here's the thing, There's a lot of these online sale gurus talking about, yeah, you buy real estate, doesn't matter if the numbers work. Um, I'm like this. I think you should eyeball everything. I think you should go get a feel for it. You should stand in the building. You should meet the owner. And this is much easier doing in your own neck of the woods than going, buying this business you know nothing about, depending upon an attorney, a real estate agent, all these people to do work for you. And they may do a great job and they may not. But my recommendation is find a business locally first. Once you buy your first business, then you can expand and, ball out and do all this global stuff, but keep it simple. Keep it simple as possible because there's so many complications here in terms of taxes, the LLC structure. If the business has 2 or 3 partners, that's like, you're dating a girl and her parents got to approve you. It's the same thing. So keep it really, really simple. Look for a simple business, not a startup, unless it's a startup that's in a simple business model, because there are certain businesses that continue to make money year after year because they're simple, they're easy to run, and they're very easy to put processes in. Okay, so let me go back, see what's in here. Business, brick and mortar, the most important thing to take notice is traffic. No, nope. Okay, how did I get started? I got started with marketing because I had a brick and mortar business that sucked ass on traffic. Not 1, but 2. And I did all that bullshit of looking and standing out there and counting cars and all that other shit. And I got signed the lease and went in and, oh yeah, the traffic's coming, right? Traffic didn't come. But I was on the hook for that lease. I had money invested, business, I had to make it work. And that's when I became really good at marketing. That's what I typically end up doing with a lot of people who have certain businesses, become very good at marketing. Let's see. I used to work for Carlton Sheets, no down in real estate call center. What a scam. See, this is another reason for being local. The thing that sealed the deal for my client was the guy who was selling, uncle knew this guy's father, and they were really, really tight, and that sealed the deal. He wouldn't have been able to do that if he was buying the business somewhere else. Plus, it would have been way more money. Total cost probably was 15 grand out of pocket between the attorneys. And let me be clear, unless it's a simple business and you can do your research and you can make sure that this guy, because see this thing, you got to find out what these liabilities of these businesses are. You got to get permission to check their tax records from the Internal Revenue Service. You got to do all this stuff. So it takes a little time, and about 15 grand out of pocket because we did a monthly deal. It was a no money down deal, but first payment, 90 days, and every month he was getting a payment. So it was kind of like he would get to retire. He was getting his retirement money in increments. And, there was none of this. You don't get any money for a year. No. You got to give him money really, really quickly. I've always been fascinated by businesses that really don't have to replenish inventory for the most part. I'm thinking of a laundromat. Like one of the things that I'm doing here is I've changed the business model. I'm a media company, and I haven't been acting like a media company. You're going to see all kinds of stuff like this. More stuff that, with clients, I can kind of talk about this stuff. Because like I said, I signed an NDA, and I talked to dude, and he's like, well, just don't tell him what I do. And, we can talk around it, because if you trust me with your business model, I'm not going to come on YouTube and like, hey, if you sell this, and you buy it for $25, you can make $400. You know how long that profit margin will last? Not long at all. Because, there's been much debate when I used to watch the stuff with the resellers talking about people would come on YouTube and talk about a product. When I used to pay attention, I saw the price. I mean, the change in price. I mean, stuff that I used to get $200-300, people were getting like $30 to $80. Information spread and disseminated changes things. And to say that it doesn't is intellectually dishonest. Just saying like, hey, if I tell you to go out and buy this widget, like it won't impact the market. Bullshit. It will impact the market. It'll impact it all day long. Tough thing with cash businesses is most owners pocket money, and you can't really get money for stuff that's off the books on the sale. Yeah, I I went somewhere today, and this is what actually prompted this because it's a place that I've known about. It's an eatery. I think I was working at Promina in 1996 when I first found it. So this place has been, it was open long before I found it. So the current owners had it 20 years. She bought it from the lady. It's a cash deal because I heard them talking about it because the lady who owns it now was working with the lady. 100% cash business. They don't take credit cards. I know exactly why. And just I've done estimates based every time I go in there, it's packed. They're only open for lunch. They don't open for dinner. They close at 3 p.m. They open at 11 and close at 3 p.m. Monday through Friday, no weekends, no holidays. And based on me just sitting there for a few hours, because one day I was tracking their money, 3-4 grand a day, easy cash money. 3-4 grand a day, cash money. 1, 2, 3, 4 employees. Even if they're paying them $10 an hour, that's not going to hurt because they're only open 4 hours plus prep work. Let's say 5, so that's $200 and other stuff. So even after expenses, clearing like 3 grand or high $2,200 a day, 5 days a week. So, and then I mean, you won't be, and there's something else with that kind of business. You would not be able to get that kind of business unless you are in the fam, so to speak. Because like I said, the lady, she every time I come there, she's like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. I mean, it's wild. I've been going there like 20 years. And that's another thing. By buying a business like that, you get the embedded traffic, you get the embedded, name brand. Because, some people want to buy a business, go in and change the name. It's not a good idea, especially if they've got really, really good brand recognition. Because they left the name the same, even though it was sold. I mean, that's what I do. That's what I do. But there's so many businesses. Now, let's talk about business you can't buy. There's a lot of these internet businesses. There's no way in hell that you can buy them. They're not situated. They're not set up to be bought. There's just not going to happen. And this is one of the reasons that I took the business out of my name and went into Hustlers Kung Fu. We teach you how to make money without a job. If at some point I want to sell it in the future, it'd be much easier. And I'm doing a lot of stuff to facilitate that. But that's one of the fastest ways that you can get a business started. Or, all right, here's a way to cheat your way in, because I know someone who's, hold on, let me check something real quick. I'm on this computer. It's not as fast as my other one. That's wild. It is really wild at how bad that is. But find a business, right? Try to buy it. But once you isolate certain things that are wrong with the business, because this is something that I helped another client with, position yourself for cash flow. And this was the pitch. I said, go in and tell them that you will make them more money. If they make you no money, they don't pay you anything. But if you do make them money, you get 25% of the profits, not 25% of the sale, but 25% of the profit on the deal. And then, that's hard, because if you come in there, they don't know who the hell you are. You have no reputation. That could be a hard sell. But I guided my client through it. A certain terminology makes people go, oh. So, and also had him research the shit out of him. So when he sat down and talked to him, he knew a lot about the company and he knew a lot about the industry. And he just became a marketing person, just a marketing person. And there was a few things that we set up, like we set up a website for him, and no, didn't have to change their website. None. Set up a website. I did a lot of things, and it took longer than we thought. Instead of doing it in 30 days, it really took 90. That's another thing that happens with business. But when the sales started to come in, this person who had a job, was making regular money, started making, in a week what he made in a month. And then, at that point, they were like, also, you have to have written agreements. You have to have written agreements. This is mandatory. You've got to have that. Okay, I see why that's looking like that. You've got to have those written agreements. You got to, or it's going to be really, really jacked up. Let's see. Uh, Michael Sneed, I wish I had listened to your advice and not rented a storefront. Had a used appliance store, could have doubled the space in the warehouse and lower monthly payment. It's rough running a retail store. It's just rough. Does it make sense to launch a business with the intention of selling it at a later date? There is a whole industry predicated on that premise. Building the sale. A lot of these internet companies are positioned to, that's their whole reason for existing, because they want to be acquired by somebody. Let's see. How about how to value accounts? What an account's worth paying and sell for versus paying AdWords and acquiring yourself? Clean that question up. I'm a little confused. Hell no, you cannot do this with a smile and a handshake. That's something that people like to, that's very romantic. People like to talk about that. It's just like I shook his hand and the deal was sealed, and no, you need paperwork, signatures, witnesses, date. You need that. Let's see. V Branson Designs. I have a web service. I charge about $475 for setup and $45 a month for hosting and maintenance. I'm thinking about axing the design fee and just charging a no money down 45 months to build passive income fast. What app did this to build their recurring revenue very fast? They charged $1 a year. I mean, it does make a difference. It does make a difference. A lot of small, listen to this, V Branson Designs, a lot of small local businesses, this is my target market, sadly cannot afford to spend the $475 up front. What do you think? Dude, you just went ahead and just put more fuel in this whole thing, in this whole conversation, because that's what I'm screaming. There's so many businesses out there that you can make money and do this with, because they don't know how to make money. Number one reason businesses go out of business is lack of marketing. Everything works. We live in a country where some guy made millions of dollars from pet rock. Donald Trump, no experience running the country, multiple divorces, multiple bankruptcies, but his marketing was like on point. Look at the results. Do you expect a drop off in sales when the business is sold because customers are loyal to the old owners? Or does the reputation of the store continue to help it make it with no sales drop off? Typically, customers don't give a shit. The days of customer loyalty, you going to JC Penney's over Sears, that's over. Whoever has the best price, the best service, all that stuff, they're going to win. No, this new generation of customers is not like our grandparents or our great grandparents. Oh shit, new opening. All right, give you an example. Store closes, has a bankruptcy liquidation sale, and those loyal ass customers are in there getting those deals. Like, I'm sorry you're going out of business, and I just got this for 80% off. You should get here, girl, before all the deals are gone. That's a loyalty. How do I position myself to branch out an idea for a company that will allow others to join and feel comfortable to join with me having experience as a business owner? Tighten that up. I am not really certain where you're going with that. Yeah, they want great service, period. Morning Blue, V Branson, $475 up front. I bet you can get triple that without adding a single extra service. How are you finding clients? This goes back to marketing. The whole premise, the folks I've helped who do this, is it went down to marketing, because most businesses don't know how to market. See, this is what happens. Let me give you the journey of how a lot of businesses are formed and what happens. Someone comes up with an idea, right? They come up with this business idea, right? They put forth this effort. They put forth the time, the energy, and they make it happen, and they get it built, and they build this business, right? Well, frequently that climb takes so much out of them that it's hard for them to expand. And that's why you have a lot of businesses that are just local, and they don't, great concept, could franchise. They don't have the energy. They don't even have the desire. They're like, you know what? I work how I want to work. I bring home great money compared to my friends. See, that's the thing. Your income and being rich or not being rich is often predicated on how much your friends make. That's why people who make 250,000, if most of their friends make $1 million, they feel poor. If you make 50 and most of your friends make 20, you feel rich. So there's a lot of things that go into that. A lot of things. Let me go down here and check it out. Let's see what we got down here. Yep, I've had prospects in a spreadsheet where a few months later I clicked on their websites and the site is down, going out of business. This dude, the video marketing master video, where is it? I got a whole nother website for that. So that's whole deal. Now, what I'm doing here, and the links under there, as you know, I put out a video where I raised my per hour fee to $1,000 an hour. Now, this under here is a little bit more, it's $1,250. So for anybody who's serious, because if you're not serious, it makes no sense. But if you're serious, I'll bring you into the business development incubator if you have an idea of a business, or if you want to discuss how you can buy a business locally. Because this is the thing. There's a lot of information that has to be gathered for you to make an educated decision. And this isn't something you can do in an hour or just sit down and I can give you a 15-minute speech and you'd be good to go. Once again, hustler porn. These guys like, I got on the phone with so-and-so in like 5 minutes. He saw my problem. I made $100,000. Can it happen? Yeah. Has it happened? Yeah. Does it happen most of the time? Fuck no. And that's just guys who are selling. That's marketing. And it works. And it works. But the links below, if you want to be part of that business development concepts, this is for folks who really want to build businesses or are serious about it. It's not just one session. I put in a few more sessions. That's why I raised the price to $1,250. Marcel, with me having a business idea that I know long-term will require investors, what should I focus on that will allow investors to view my ideal as profitable and risk-worthy with me having no experience? Okay, let's go back to Amazon. We're going to have this discussion, Marcel. All right, find this book. Let's go ahead and bring this. Nope, I don't need that. This is what I need. All right, name of the book is Rework by Jason Fried. Go ahead, get that book. Read it tonight. Get it on Kindle, order it, whatever. It's not a big book. You can go through it pretty quickly. Read that book. Now, the reason I'm directing you to this book is you said the thing, I have a business. I know I'm going to need investors. Okay. Travis, the guy who founded Uber, went 3 years without investors. He did it for 3 years by himself. Now, part of this journey is investor makes the difference between growing fast or growing slow. There have been many big businesses, Fortune 500, that were organically funded. But see, the thing is, we live in this microwave society. The stream I did the other night about Nasty Gal, she was doing fine. She was making millions. She took a $65 million investment between 2013 and 2015. Sales did not accelerate like they thought, so pay back that investment, and they're filing Chapter 11. She was already rich without all of this stuff. So read the book, read it 2 or 3 times, and get a firm sense of how you can grow your business. Because let's say you build this business, you get it going, you put in some stuff, you start following the information on this channel, and you build it to like a $2 or $3 million a year business in 5 or 6 years. You've done better than 99% of the fucking planet. And you manage your money, you can have a wonderful life. Private school for your kids. If you want to send the kids to college, you can pay for it. See, a lot of this hustler porn has people thinking that if they don't build a $100 million company in the next 5 years, they're a failure. It's total bullshit, because most of these folks who are online doing all this hustler porn, 2 years from now, you won't see them. You just won't. Oh, that's real funny, Doriel Anjani. That's real funny. I show the book. He was like, I suggest you read that book. That's hilarious. That really is hilarious. All right. So for those of you who want to take advantage of the deals, Uncivilized Profits, which is the template on how Donald Trump won the election and how to use certain tactics to influence and manipulate people to get them to do what you want them to do. It's currently $59 and it's beta, which means there's nothing there. It'll probably be launching this weekend, the first module. And each day I talk about, the price goes up a little bit. So if you want to get in, get in. Also, for those of you who want to build real businesses, you know, get on the phone, ask me several questions about your business, your interest. That's called a consult. And it's $1,000 an hour, or you can get part of the $1,250 business development package. Once you buy, my assistant will put you on the calendar. All right, let's see what we have down here. Let's see. Well, the thing is with the 65 million, and this is something that a lot of people understand. More money does not mean more profits. If you look at the number of businesses that had huge investments, had celebrities as spokespeople, and they failed, money doesn't always scale. Like with Google AdWords, there's a certain level that regardless of how much money you spend, it's just not going to convert, because the inventory of customers that will buy your product are limited. So if you got a budget of 8 million, but maybe 30 grand will do it. You can spend 150,000, but your conversions are not going to go up. You know, a lot of people understand that more money does not always help. And I think they were overreached when I Google hustler porn book. Well, see, the reason you don't see hustler porn books when you Google is because I made that term to address all of the fuckery of the laptop lifestyle. I'm 24 years old and I made $1 million in 6 months. You don't have to work that hard to make a lot of money. There's this system that you can buy for $50 that's going to make you 2 million in the next 24 months. Actually, that could happen. That's my thing for hustler porn, because a lot of people want to like compare and contrast me. So part of the marketing message is I have to attack that bullshit and give a higher level of thought. So that's what I'm doing. Right about those hustler porn guys, most of them are fly by night. Yep. All right, for those folks who've been around since 2009, how many of the folks who were fucking with me, doing all that bullshit, are still here? How many? 99% of them are gone. I made 6 figures in 6 months, guys, are a waste of time. There's always a catch. I heard one of these guys casually mention, oh, Ramit said he was a friend of mine. We see a lot of that name dropping, association, you know, enhancing their persona by being around these people. You see a lot of that. Melissa, my goal for next year is to finish getting the house paid off, 30 grand. Yeah, you can do that. Doro, I found a website that did a postmodern on startups. The failures were explained by the funds being tied to terms and conditions for unsustainable goals and objectives. I mean, when you take somebody's money, that doesn't come with a string. It comes with a whole piano level of strings. Money's hard to make. If someone's going to give you $1 million, you better believe there's going to be some strings. And there's going to be some crazy expectations. There's going to be a sales job you have to do. There's going to be a lot that comes with that. A lot. All right. So I'm going to bounce out here. For those of you who have not subscribed, be sure to subscribe. Once again, YouTube is scrubbing house. And so in their process of scrubbing, they sometimes get rid of active accounts. So it's not me if you have to resub, it's them. Send them a letter, send them an angry email, send them a nastygram, so they'll stop doing that stuff. And if you want to be part of Uncivilized Profits, it's going to be deep. It's going to be very, very different from any course I've done, because I'm going to tell you some stuff that I've done that I cannot put on YouTube, and I'm going to put in a copyrighted course. Make sure this stays mine, because this course will be written. Won't be a lot of video stuff. It'll be mostly written. You have a lot of exercises to do. So let me check before I bounce, see if there's any more questions. Sustainability of the business was second to the value of venture capitalists. A lot of these people don't really care about building businesses. They care about getting rich. And often that is not mutually exclusive with the health and the vitality of the business. I mean, a lot of people will run a business in the ground to wring as much profit out of it as possible to get paid and let other people suck on the ashes. So with that, catch you folks later.